Buddy, Dr. Sean here with another optimizing video. This time I want to talk to you about the concept of the modern day hunter. Don't really have to hunt, but you are genetically, biologically adapted for hunting. So we're going to get into that. What does that mean in a modern civilized world? I'm going to talk about that, how you leverage that in this video to become the most awesome version of yourself biologically that you can possibly be. That's what my passion is. That's what I am, a health and performance optimizing physician. I study it, I research it, I live it, and I practice it in all my patient clients. And everybody I get in contact with, I try to get them to be as healthy as possible. So I'll get into this notion of the modern day civilized hunter, why we hunt very different as a species than any other organism. I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into how we went about selecting what we were going to hunt. And then I'm going to wrap it all up by telling you how you should go about hunting today in terms of food selection. So let me just start by saying that I have paid attention to hunting because I know evolutionarily, biologically, through adaptation, we are hunters. We went out and we hunted. We know this for millions of years. We got evidence of bones with tool markings on them. Fascinating. We're able to tell. At one point, we even started to use tools, these tools to get into bones. And when we hunted animals, fascinating. When we hunted animals and we first saw those tool marks on those bones, we accessed those bones. And what that allows us to do is access the inner content of those bones. Other animals couldn't get into those bones. Those large bones, they wouldn't eat, they'd leave around. But humans were scavengers, and we could access those bones that other animals left behind. And guess what? It was inside of it: bone marrow, nutrients, fat, and inside one of the biggest bones in the body of an animal is the calvarium, the skull. So inside the calvarium was the brains. The brains are made of about 60 to 70% of the content of brain is fat. So what happened to humans when they started to eat the bone marrow and the brains? We tripled the size of our own brains because the extra animal fat that we were able to get, that highly nutritious fat that was otherwise deprived us because we couldn't access those bones, and neither could animals. So consequently, our brains grew really big. Now, really cool, check this out. What did that allow us to do besides thinking smarter? We as a species started to hunt in a very different manner. We just weren't scavenging around. We could also hunt probably at that particular time. We weren't just scavengers. But we had the ability to do something very different, and we had the practice of doing something very different. So what we know from anthropology and writings and recorded history about Native Americans is they hunted very differently. They would look at a bison and they could select a particular bison, and they would select the healthiest bison based on the silhouette, the shape of that animal. Okay, the shape of the animal was a learned observation to select the healthiest animal, and the sheen of its coat, how the fur looked from a distance, humans knew that that particular animal was the healthiest one in the tribe. And why is that important? Because we hunted the healthiest animal of the tribe. What's uniquely different about Homo sapiens throughout most of our existence is we selected the very best animals to hunt. We could hunt anybody in a herd of animals, but we selected the very best animal to hunt. Why? Because it had the highest nutritional value, and secondly, it had the highest microbial value. The other practice that we did is, I do believe that we hunted certain select vegetables and certain plants, but exactly how we went about doing that is not really known. It's a practice that we've lost. But you know, they were very selective. They didn't just eat the rotten looking funny plants. They would have been very selective about what they were eating. And the same thing with animals. Now today, we study animals, we watch them. All species of animals hunt the easiest. They go for the easiest animal, the calf, the young, the newborn, the old, the old cow, the old heifer, the old, one dragging its leg, the infirmed ones, the sick ones. And those are the ones that they selected, that they'd go after. Why? Because it was easier. They didn't have cerebral cortex that allowed them to formulate and discern which one was the best. What does this mean? You've got to start using your brain again to hunt the healthiest animal, to hunt the healthiest specimen, source of food out there. We don't do that. Ding, ding, ding. Look at our species today. Massive obesity, massive epidemic of being overweight, diabetes, chronic disease. We have never, ever been this sick in the existence of Homo sapiens, our species. And hardly a darn word is being said about it by other doctors and other people. Well, I'm screaming about it, top of the mountaintops, getting people's attention, warning them, because we're going to get wiped out. The virus that we've recently gone through is nothing compared to probably what's going to be coming down the road. And it's going to cull the herd, okay? It's going to separate the healthiest from the unhealthy. Only the healthiest is going to survive. And I'm just going to tell you, from a biological adaptation purpose, it is going to be fantastic. Yeah, it's going to suck if you're not healthy. But let me tell you what's going to happen to our species. Only the healthiest are going to survive with the best genes and the best mindsets and the best practices. And this species is going to go to a new level. So I don't know when that's going to happen. Good chance it's going to happen in your lifetime, in my lifetime, I think, because this amount of chronic disease, we've never had more humans together with this amount of disease. We're going to get wiped out. So you want to be as healthy as possible. You want to select your food. You got to stop being like the animals, just go in and eat whatever you want. When you go to a store, you have got to go into that store with the purpose of eating the most nutritious food possible instead of the most tastiest and the cheapest food possible, which is what you get now, processed foods. And the processed manufacturers, they spend a lot of money, millions of dollars researching packaging, the appearance of food to get you to take it. You got to stop doing that. You got to learn to discern what healthy food looks like. So healthy food looks like, to me, very good wild meat and pastured meat and meat that's 100% grass-fed and grass-finished, not just grass-fed, and the healthiest animals possible. Now, it's harder in that package. I think I could probably pick out, I say this now I'm sort of doubting this, I think I'd be better off than a lot of people picking out a healthy animal. I'm a doctor after all. And not only a doctor, a health and performance optimizing physician. In fact, I'll take that back. Doctors suck at knowing what healthy is. They don't. Look at themselves. You can walk in, even the average super healthy patient walk in a room, the doctor won't say anything. Even an unhealthy person, they'll say anything. What they do, they go right to the labs. That's what they talk about, because they can make some money off that, prescribe some drugs. But you've got to get back to discerning healthy food, and you can start doing that to become more awesome. Now, let me return to our Native Americans, our ancestors of long ago. Okay, they were motivated to select the healthiest animal because they wanted the healthiest sort of nutrition. But it wasn't just the animal, they weren't just eating the animals. There were certain other things that they did with the animal. And one of the things they did was they kept the skin, the pelt. Now, why would they keep that pelt? The reason is that pelt had the healthiest microbes, where the microbes are stored, okay? It's called the microbiome. I'm going to get into this, but I'm introducing this topic. Hang with me, because this is a first introduction to a really important concept of the microbiome that most of you are going to be very foreign. It'll be very foreign to you. But the microbiome is our awesomeness, okay? And in the animals that we hunted, those microbes were stored in the fur. And guess where it's stored in us? You probably know it's in our gut, but it's also in our hair. It's strategic. Hair in our head and our faces, so they get into our mouths. And when we're social and we kiss, we're having social activity, we're swapping those microbes. But it's in other areas. So our scent, our ability to off scent from the bacteria stored in that hair in our axilla and our groin and our around outside and the genitalia. Critical roles in the microbiome. So you've got to get knowledge about the microbiome because it's an important part of attraction, an important part of reproduction, an important part of living. So they kept these skins, and the healthiest animal conferred the best microbes. Why? Because that healthy animal went out and had a lifestyle, okay? The healthiest bull and the healthiest females in there did the most awesome things to make themselves super awesome. And the healthiest bull was probably mating with those females, and he, you know, that animal had an unbelievable amount of healthy microbes all over it. So that was the one you want. And still to this day, modern day hunters, you know, go for those big bucks, you know, with all the points and stuff, talk about it. But none of the hunters know really the value in that is in the microbes, okay? And those fantastic microbes that are on that animal. So these microbes would get on us, put us on our bodies. When we adorn ourselves with those skins or we sleep with those skins, they're constantly providing those microbes and they benefit us. So the goal to life is to be the most awesome collection of microbes you possibly can be. And so these practices of our ancestors from old help us to understand that. And also for the modern day hunter, you can take advantage of this. And I want my followers to understand the microbiome. I'm going to get into it. I'm going to do an Instagram live and other videos just on the microbiome. But this one was about the modern day hunter, but I had to introduce the concept of microbiome, sort of whet your appetite. Okay, so bring this all together. You want to be that modern day hunter. You need to be selective. When you go into that store, you're only going to hunt the healthiest member of that herd, okay? That food in there. Eat healthy food, the best looking, the healthiest. Learn about that selection of meats and selection of fermented vegetables. Why fermented vegetables? Because I think vegetables, I know they have lectins. What I don't understand completely yet is to the extent that they're problematic for us. There are probably ways of consuming them through the microbiome safely, but one really good practice that I do is I don't eat vegetables unless they've been fermented, because it eliminates those lectins, helps to eliminate those plant toxins that are problematic. So I eat fermented vegetables, small amounts. I don't eat them for the nutrient value. Certainly don't eat it for the fiber. I eat very, very small amounts of these fermented vegetables with my meat. And I'll get into that a little bit later, okay? So be selective about what you eat. Be selective about choosing that. Your body is your most important, awesome asset. There's nothing as valuable as your body. So get into understanding of your life, how you need to make decisions throughout the day about being as healthy as possible by making decisions that are in keeping with trying to make your body as awesome as it could possibly be. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was designed to introduce you to the concept of modern day hunter, introduce the concept of selection of food, and also for the microbiome to kind of set the appetite. So, okay, if you like this video, give it a like. Please subscribe to my video so I can try to help spread the solutions and strategies for reversing chronic disease, which is our nation's biggest problem. Humanity's, our species' biggest problem is chronic disease. And so that consider sharing this so other people can find out about this content as well. All right, well, thank you very much. And we'll see you next time on another optimizing video. Dr. Sean out.